Hey everyone, Dumont Owen here. It is Wednesday, and that means it's time for Lucrative LinkedIn Live. And today I have such a treat for you. I mean, I'm so thrilled to be introducing you to Monique McDonald. This is someone I just had to have her come and meet you. So let me tell you a little bit about Monique. She is a Grammy-nominated award-winning vocal specialist and certified conscious transformational coach. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to ask her because I don't know what it is either, and I want to find out. Monique was initially terrified to audition and speak publicly. And so she studied intensely with excellent coaches to cultivate her confidence. And as a result, she celebrated with outstanding opera and masterclass performances. Yes, I said opera and masterclass performances throughout Europe, Russia, Japan, and the US, including Carnegie Hall, NYC, and the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Monique is known as the magnetic voice mentor, and her passion is to empower speakers and entrepreneurs to find their authentic voices and vibrate the world. So Monique, I am so excited about having you here, and so excited to invite you. Whoops. Oh, hold on. It looks like it was deleted on Facebook. I'm just going to, that is just going to have to be removed from Facebook. Hold on. Okay. If you're on Facebook, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. We'll send you the replay.
So this is what I love about live theater, Dumont.
Exactly.
You never know what's going to happen.
No, but and we've had some experiences, like the time I did this recently. I did a 3-hour workshop and forgot to hit record. So I spent an entire weekend re-recording the workshop so I could send out the replay. So hopefully that will not happen today. And in fact, StreamYard automatically records it. So we are okay. So Monique, I have so many questions. And, I'm just going to start with, where did this passion come from for, mastering your own voice? How did that develop?
Well, it's one of my favorite stories, Dumont. When I was a little girl, like most little girls, I wanted to be just like my mommy. And my mommy happened to be a singer, a professional singer.
Oh.
And one day I was around 5 years old, and she couldn't find a babysitter, and she had a concert that night.
Oh my.
So I got to go. And this concert was here in New York City at Columbia University in the chapel there.
Oh.
And the chapel is beautiful and has this huge dome. And I broke away from the crowd and ran upstairs to the top of the dome.
Oh.
And I looked down at my mother, and she had turned into this creature of light and sound.
Wow.
She was extraordinary. And the sound started to move in and out of the acoustics of this dome. And it literally vibrated my little 5-year-old body. I had no idea what was happening to me. And Dumont, that was the first time, I know now, that I experienced the power of the human voice and what happens to a person, whether they're speaking or singing, and they're fully aligned to their passion and power.
Wow.
And their voice literally vibrates the air around them so that they are inspired and that anyone within the sound of their voice is inspired.
Oh, how cool.
And that's one of the reasons why I became passionate about this. Of course, I was 5 years old at the time, so I didn't understand really what was going on.
Sure.
But I know now that was when I sort of got this bug. And so I decided when I grew up that I was going to pursue a career as a professional singer, as my mother did. She was my voice teacher all of my life.
Wow.
I went on to work in Europe and here in New York City at New York City Opera and Carnegie Hall. I worked all over the world.
Yeah.
And before there was Zoom, there was Skype, right? And
Oh gosh, yes. I've forgotten about Skype. I wonder if it's still around.
yeah, I think it might be. I don't know. But my mom was with me every step of the way.
Wow.
And then I lost my mom.
Oh.
She passed away from pancreatic cancer. And
Oh.
I didn't want to do the singing thing without her, at least not in the same way. So I was sort of casting about for what was next and who am I without my mother? I'm an only child, and we were
Oh.
kind of the two of us against the world. I ran across a video on Netflix of Tony Robbins. "I'm Not Your Guru" was the film. And in that film, I found out two things that changed the trajectory of my life. The first thing I found out was that Tony Robbins had a training center where you
Mm.
could learn and get certified and learn how to do what Tony Robbins does, which is a pattern interrupt. It's called
Mhm.
strategic intervention. So I signed up that day right away because I knew that just working with other singers, um, most of the work was getting them into a state of being so that their voice could work according to the laws of nature without effort, and they could express easily and effortlessly whatever it was that they were
Mm.
expressing. And so even though I didn't really know what I was doing, instinctually, that's what I was doing. I was interrupting the patterns of I can't or who am I to be doing this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um, and so I decided, oh, let me get certified in that. So I could, so I did that, and then I heard Tony Robbins was doing vocal exercises. And I am a huge fan of Mr. Robbins. However, he was not using his voice according to the laws of nature. And when I heard that he was only able to stay on stage for an hour or so because his voice was giving out on him, and he was
Mhm.
using these exercises, and they were really good. But I was trained as an opera singer, and I sing in a theater that seats thousands over a 100-piece orchestra with
Wow.
no microphone.
Yeah.
So I know that I had some information, and it occurred to me, what if I get to the next Tony Robbins? What if I get to the next speaker with an amazing, important message for the world that can have impact and save
Mhm.
lives and change lives, and teach this speaker how to speak according to the laws of nature, how to stand in their power and become that creature of light and sound
Wow.
and be what I believe we all have the capacity to be. And
Well, you
that's
just
my
got me. Where
story.
do I sign up? No, that's fabulous, Monique. I've never heard anybody talk about light and sound and vibration before. It's just I guess I don't know any other opera singers for one thing. But seriously, I had never thought of that. And what it takes to be able to talk with, I don't know, would you call it an authentic voice?
Yes. Here's the thing, Dumont. I believe that our voice is a reflection of our life experiences. So many of us were told especially women.
Mm-hmm.
Be quiet, sit still. Your children are meant to be seen and not heard. And whatever other ideas like that were introduced into our system at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
so that all the while we really do want to be seen and heard, which is a human condition that we all
Right.
share, right? We want to be
Right.
seen and heard. There is often a block there, and it can manifest in the voice.
Okay.
And it certainly manifests in limiting beliefs
Oh.
or ideas like I'm not good enough, or who would want to listen to me, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not safe to stand up
Mm-hmm.
on a stage or speak up and find yourself away from the herd, right? That's
Right.
biological, right? Safety is when you stay with the crowd or the
Right.
audience. When you stand on a stage, all of a sudden it's you alone in front of everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
It can be scary even if you're not on a stage.
that's right.
I can remember having to present something to the board of directors when I was in higher education. And after I was done and I was walking away, one person came out and said, I never thought you would be that nervous. It never occurred to me that you wouldn't be able to speak. And it was scary. Who was I to tell them? They were the board of directors.
That's it.
Yeah, so I totally get what you're saying.
That's
So let me
exactly
ask
it.
you something. Do you ever get nervous, or do you ever have nerves before you do an engagement? Because I know I'm like a puddle of nerves sometimes for
I
bundles.
love this question, Dumont. I often get asked this question, and it's actually one of my favorite questions. So thank you for asking. Um, the truth is, every single time,
Really?
every single time. However, because I've practiced it, in other words, I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone enough to stand up. I mean, standing up and speaking is scary. Standing up and singing is like
Is
10
it?
times
Oh
scary.
my
So I have pushed myself out of my own comfort zone enough times, which is what I mean by practicing it,
God. Mhm.
that now it feels like a familiar friend. And if I
Mm.
don't feel nervous or I don't get those butterflies of excitement, I call it excitement. And if you think about it, that flutter in your tummy is
Mhm.
actually the same sensation, whether it's nerves or excitement. It's what we frame it as, it's what we decide it is.
Okay.
And when you start to do it more and more, and it's like anything else, you're doing something for the first time, like LinkedIn Live. I did my first LinkedIn Live last week,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and
Well,
you helped me so
congratulations.
much. Thank you. And you were such a big help
Oh,
supporting me, Dumont. I really, really
well,
appreciate all of
I'm
your
thrilled
support with
thrilled
that.
to do it.
But it's like anything else. When you stand up to do something that you've never done before, you get that feeling. Just getting ready to do this LinkedIn Live, this interview with you, I had those same butterflies. And so what is different now is that I have learned the tools necessary
Mm.
to manage it,
Mhm.
and it doesn't overcome me so
Oh,
that I feel that I can't be Monique in the presence of it.
yeah,
And
and that's more than just knowing the what you're going to say, or it would seem to me it is. That's more internal.
absolutely, and it's biological because of what we were discussing before. It's like I constantly, when I was first doing this, I was singing. I was constantly asking myself, would you do this to yourself? Put yourself in front of a bunch of strangers and vulnerably open your heart
Yeah.
and speak and sing through it. And the answer always is because it's more important for me to share my gift than to not.
Wow. You're giving me chills here.
Oh.
No, I just that's such a great concept, and I can remember, I took speech in college. I think we all had to take speech in college, and we had a choice between three addresses, and I chose John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech.
Just that little ditty.
That little one, yeah. And you know what line I messed up? The one that everybody knows. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I did it backwards. And it's like, I just wanted the floor to open up and, swallow me. Because I felt like I was really going there. And then,
Well, I love that you brought that up, Dumont, because it's something I talk to my clients about often. Excuse me. One of the myths of public speaking is that we need to be perfect, that we need to get it right, or people won't listen, or will think we are dumb, or that we aren't really experts at whatever it is we're experts in. And because we put ourselves in those handcuffs of I have to be perfect, we often make mistakes. And then it's like, see, I can't do this. I'm not perfect. I wasn't good enough. I practice and practice and practice, and I still made mistakes. So that is something that is so important. If your listeners, Dumont, don't take anything else from our time together today, please listen and hear me. Nobody wants to engage with or be spoken to by a robot.
yeah.
We don't want it. We wouldn't believe it if it was perfect. We would be suspicious, right?
Yeah.
We want to be spoken to and connected with people who are alive and make mistakes and laugh at their mistakes and say, well, I don't know. Sorry, Facebook people, you're going to get the recording, because that's how life is. And if I want to follow you, or I want to be in a class with you and invest in myself so that I can grow with you or transform with you, I need to see that you're not perfect, that you're not some, image of perfection that I could never relate to or ever catch up with. Right?
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. And I think a lot of our nerves do come from really wanting to be perfect, to do the perfect job. And I have to say, I know in my own speaking, I always walk off and say, "Oh, dang it!" I was going to tell them this, or "Uh-oh, I think I just quoted that wrong," or something. And it's like too late now. But I do think that desire to have a perfect performance and to have everyone see me as credible. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
It's that mistake where I think of credibility as perfection.
Yes.
And when you think about it, who wants to hang out with a perfect person?
I didn't think about that. Really?
I mean, that would be horrible.
Yes, and I don't want to misspeak. extremely important to practice. In my opinion, speakers do not practice enough.
Okay.
They try to wing it. It's very important to practice. It's very important to have a strategy of what are you going to say and when are you going to say it. All of that is important and you must practice. But when it comes time to live, when it comes time to delivering in person, you have to trust yourself.
Hmm.
And you have to because sometimes, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it happens to me often in my courses that I teach, or even when I'm speaking on a summit, or I have my talk totally planned out. I know I've memorized it. I know what it's supposed to be, but I always leave room for the divine.
Hmm.
Sometimes I get I get an inspiration that, oh, I should say this, or I hear myself saying blubbity blah. And
Uh-huh.
it was not on the plan at all. And then inevitably, 9 times out of 10, somebody will come to me or send me a note afterwards and say, I really loved when you said the mistake, because I really saw myself in that. So,
Yeah, that
right? So, and it's also about trusting the process. We're heart-centered and we want to give ourselves fully and completely because of that inner worry about, am I good enough? Who am I to be
mhm,
speaking about? So you sort of want to be sure that you get everything in. And sometimes less is more, I would say, more often than not. I'm usually editing
mhm,
for my
mhm.
clients. Um, but also, it's what is important is the connection, to connect
With the audience.
with the audience,
Yeah.
with whoever you're speaking to, whether it's one to one or one to many, because you know what you're going to say. I suggest writing down, making bullets for yourself of things you want to hit,
Mhm.
you know, things you want to be sure that you're speaking about, and then riff on it. That's a jazz term, right? When
What
you
does
just
riff mean? I'm not familiar with that.
oh, riff is when you're playing the melody, so what the song normally is, and then you take the melody or the structure, excuse me, and you ad lib,
Oh,
and you
okay.
riff on it, and you sort of go off into your own little journey of what the melody means to you.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
usually that's the solo. If it's a sax solo or a
Mhm.
drum solo, that's what they're doing. And you'll notice they usually go through the whole melody, or at least the first part.
Okay. Okay, that's very cool. I'll have to remember that. So I'm curious, because you said that you do get nervous before performances, and speaking engagement. How do you deal with the nerves? Because that my body says anxiety.
Mhm.
My body does not say excitement. My body says anxiety. So how do you deal with that feeling and turn it into something that you can use?
Another great question. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back to conscious transformational coaching,
Oh,
because
okay, good.
this actually has a lot to do with what I do as a conscious transformational coach. Every time we have a trauma or something that hits us emotionally, beginning with childhood, we take it in, and we often, as children, don't have the wherewithal to deal with it. So we jump up out of our bodies in order to handle it. So
Yeah.
whether it was your father yelling at you or your brother telling you you were stupid and you were never, you're not good at anything or whatever, and I'm using the word trauma quite loosely, whatever disturbs you enough, right, that
Mhm.
makes you feel bad or brings shame, um, we tend to jump up out of our bodies because we don't have the wherewithal or the tools to stay in the body
Oh.
and breathe through it and be with it. Nobody teaches you how to do that. Most of us are just trying to get through the day.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yeah, you
same
get
thing.
you get to, 10 o'clock at night and go, got through another
Exactly.
day.
Yeah. So same thing with nerves, right? Or anxiety. Bless you.
I'm
Bless you.
I
Bless
I got
you.
my COVID booster and my flu shot
Oh,
together the other night. That was a mistake. Don't do that. So ever since I've been sneezing.
yeah. Okay. So, same thing with nerves. For most of us, when we feel that anxiety or that nervous feeling, we jump up out of our bodies. And what I
Mhm.
literally mean by that is that we go to a place where it doesn't hurt, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. We go to that place in our minds. So, what happens?
Okay.
The body stores the emotions. Even though our consciousness has jumped up out of
Mhm.
the body stores it. And so, we go through life and then all of a sudden we have these limiting beliefs about I'm stupid, for example. And if you trace it back and traditional talk therapy will have you talking about it and tracing
Mhm.
it back to when it happened in your life and
Sure.
things like that. But what happens, even if you're doing talk therapy or pattern interrupt or whatever's going on, most of the traumatic debris, if we could call it that, is left over,
Okay.
stays in the body.
Oh.
And it shows up as limits
Oh.
and beliefs. I can't do something that I don't know how to do perfectly in front of anyone because they're going to call me stupid. So
Mhm.
what do? We don't do our LinkedIn lives. We
Right.
don't, right? Because we're afraid of because we remember the sensation in our bodies that we jumped up out of, and we don't want that.
Right.
So we don't do it. So what I do as a conscious transformational coach is I through your own thoughts and memories, through an actual fun and easy process, help get rid of that emotional trauma or trash, as we call it, that
I
emotional
like
debris that's been left over after these events. And here's the thing, right? So as our life continues, those things we start to be like a pressure cooker. So all the things are happening over and over again that are sort of reinforcing that belief or thought. And so then we either go kapow, which is what for
that.
no good reason, right? We
Yeah.
explode. Or my way of doing it is what I call imploding, where I become very silent
Oh.
and I shut down. And I think everybody has their own flavor of that.
Mhm.
And
I
and
can imagine that would be a real problem for an opera star.
you have no idea. And so what this process does is it takes the heat, dials down the heat under the pressure cooker
Mhm.
so that you're not at that feeling of, that feeling when you get super, super anxious, you feel like you're going to just explode, right?
Yeah.
We're dialing down the heat or what is causing those sensations. And we're dialing down that discomfort so that we can be in the presence of discomfort without feeling wrong or bad or the need to leave our bodies.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And it's really my mentor in this that we both know is Jackie Simmons, and when she gave me a free session, which is what I do now too, because nobody knows really what I just explain what it is, and people still don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah, I totally
So
agree.
until you experience it for yourself, you really and so that's what she did. She gave me a session, and I realized, because you're using your own thoughts, your own memories, and there's no talking about it. Like, it's not talk therapy. So you're not re-traumatizing yourself. You're
Mhm.
releasing and recoding, reframing the memory.
Hmm.
It's super cool. And I
Yeah, it
highly
sounds like
recommend
it.
it. And so then, when I am about to speak or sing or do whatever it is I'm anxious or nervous about, I literally have tools at my fingertips
Wow.
that I engage to dial it down so that I
I'm
can
gonna have to
be
get in
in
touch
the.
with Jackie and tell her she needs to. Oh, no, I'm in touch with you.
Yes, come have a session. I'd love to show this to you. It's very special and very unique, and it is fast. It is fast and easy. You know, a lot of people are spending 10, 20 hours in talk therapy. And please don't
Yeah.
misunderstand me. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying there's a faster way.
Okay, well, that sounds good to me as someone who's spent a few of those hours in her life. So it's good to know that there are tools that we can use and that we can acquire them quickly.
Yes.
Because I think that deters a lot of people. I think a lot of people look at therapy as this long process and somewhat painful process,
Mhm.
because you are going back into those memories and those traumas. So,
Right.
so I think this would be something that a lot of people would be interested in. So it's conscious transformational coaching,
That's it.
right?
You got
Okay.
it.
Well,
And then the
remember
good
that.
news is, once you have a body and a consciousness that doesn't have all that emotional and mental debris, all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're available now to go and do the things that you wanna do, to have success, to
Oh, that's
go out
great.
into the world and do what it is that often our limiting beliefs or thoughts stop us from doing.
Wow. Well, and I know that so many people, myself included, do get nervous before we speak. And we really want to do a great job, but we are nervous. So I have another question. I got this off of your website. I do
Oh,
my homework, Monique.
I love it.
And the question that I have is on your website. It said to ask you about why or when you sang for the King of Belgium and the Prince of Monaco. That's what I had to look it up. I didn't know Belgium had a king anymore. But they do.
They sure do. It's actually one of my favorite stories of being a diva, if you will, because that word is an Italian word that means goddess.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
and
well, now I have to treat you completely differently. I didn't
well,
know you
and
were
and
that.
the rest of the story is that in our in modern times, being a diva means that you are selfish and boss everybody around and throw temper tantrums all the time, which don't really have to go together, although they often do go together when you are, as we were talking about, being seen and heard, and you don't have tools. The pressure really builds. And so that's how you act out. That's how a lot of people act out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you know what, Monique? I just looked here and apparently LinkedIn cut us off too. We have not been live.
Well, shall we
This was a
continue? Because
crazy
I'm
run.
having fun.
I am too. So let's keep going and then we can do this next week. We already know how to do it. I'm so sorry. I don't know what
No
happened.
worries.
But yeah, it's got this little thing. Well, no, up here it says in broadcast.
So
So let's keep going. Let's keep
okay,
going
let's keep
because
going.
um
So
okay.
this was the story. I was in
Okay.
Belgium, in Liège, which is where the king lives in Belgium,
Okay.
and one of his houses, I guess.
I'm sure.
And I was invited to sing at this event that was being held in the town hall. And the King of Belgium and the Prince of Monaco were being honored.
Oh my.
And I was there to perform. So I didn't have anything really, really fancy. Oh, that's not true. I had a good dress. I brought like the fancy dress, but I had forgotten the shoes.
Oh.
And as a lady, we've got to have
Exactly.
our shoes, right? Or the outfit doesn't go, we don't feel right.
Right.
So I scoured Liège trying to find the right shoes for this event. And Dumont, where I found the shoes in a sex shop.
Oh
So this was my
my.
little
We're not even
secret.
going to ask what possessed you to walk into a sex
Well,
shop.
they were in the window. They were in the
Okay. All
window.
right.
So I was walking by, and it was actually near the theater. And I, of course, I had never walked in there in my life before, but I was like, oh, things are different in Europe, as you know. Anyway, so I bought these shoes. I took them home. I'm on the staircase. There were two huge staircases that went down to the main hall. And I
Mhm.
was waiting to be introduced. I had been schooled in what I should say and how I should say it. They speak French in this part of Belgium and in Monaco. So I was speaking French. I was not only doing all the Your Highness and how
Mhm.
you should address them, but I was doing it in French.
Right.
So I was a little nervous, as you can imagine. So I'm waiting at the landing of the staircase, and there's another staircase right directly in front of me. And the Prince of Monaco was there waiting to be introduced as well. And my feet started to hurt in the shoes. And so we caught eyes, we made eye contact, and I'm shifting from one foot to the other because my feet are hurting. And then I realize he is too. He's shifting from one foot to the other. I'm imagining because his feet are hurting. And then we both started laughing. So we had this
Oh, that's great.
beautiful, amazing moment.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
wonderful.
and so it was like this is what I talk about all the time, about presence, right? About
Mhm.
energy. Like, I hadn't sung a note, I hadn't spoken yet. This was just an exchange of energy.
Mhm.
And it's so
Mhm.
important. And so then I went and I sang, and then I was introduced to both the King of Belgium and the Prince of Monaco. And it was a huge success. And it was one of those magical moments in my career that is just so much fun to look back and know that I was in the presence of royalty,
Yeah.
and I was able to negotiate my nerves and my shoes
Yeah.
and and be the best Monique I could be on that day. And that's what I want for all of your viewers.
Mhm.
Yes, you may not be opera singers, and yes, you may not be singing for the King of Belgium and the Prince of Monaco, but you are speaking from your
Mhm.
heart. You're sharing your expertise and your desire to inspire and educate and open doors for people
Mhm.
to transform. And
That's wonderful. That's beautiful. Um, and to have that moment, to be able to look back at that moment, it just must feel so special to you.
it really did. It really did. And the other big takeaway I took from that experience was that we're all the same. doesn't matter if you're the Prince of Monaco or the King of Belgium, your feet still hurt if the shoes are
That's
busy.
right.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
and yes, we must respect and honor them for their journey and where they've
Sure.
where they've journeyed to and where they've journeyed from. But the connection is always available. So
Yeah.
whenever you speak and wherever you are, it's about connection.
Okay. So yeah, so that makes sense. And you said between individuals plus, in front of a large room. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of my listeners would be interested in is in speaking from the stage. And I'm, usually when they're speaking from the stage, there's something in their mind that they want to convey. They want people to take ownership of and act on it. And I'm wondering, what can we do that would actually, as speakers, that would actually inspire people to take action?
Well, I hope that with every presentation, podcast, sales call, wherever you are connecting with someone else and talking about your expertise and your business, you have a call to action. Whether it's check out my website or here, let me show you my amazing program that I think would be
Mhm.
fantastic for you.
Mhm.
Or have you ever wanted something, but you were afraid that you didn't know how to do it?
Mm.
Come and meet me, and
Yeah.
I will walk you every step of the way so that
Oh,
the next time you make a presentation, the next time you have a sales call, the next time you're speaking one to one and want to make an invitation, you'll know exactly how to do it.
that's terrific.
Right? That's my call to action. It didn't feel like a call to action though, did it?
No, it didn't. It just made me want to get off of here and connect with you. Although we're already connected, so that's great.
Yes.
Um,
And that is what I think is some of the scariest stuff for
yeah.
entrepreneurs is that, because they don't want to feel like they're selling and they don't want to be that car salesman. I actually said that to a car salesman
Oh,
once. I said, no offense, but that swarmy car salesman energy. We don't want that. It was very funny.
well, yeah, and I mean, I have my own horror stories about car salesmen. So, and I think we all probably somewhere along the line have dealt with that mentality. And something that I see a lot on LinkedIn. And I do a lot of research about LinkedIn because that's where I play.
Right.
So a lot of people, when I've been doing research, have said to me, I don't want to sound pushy or manipulative or phony because what's happened, and LinkedIn recognizes this, what's happened is, during the pandemic, because we're not getting in front of people in the same way, people have started just spraying out all of this spam in the form of premature sales pitches.
Mhm.
And I think we've all had it happen. Oh, I saw your profile. I think, we'd be great partners. Let's connect. And then the next thing you know, you have this heavy duty sales pitch. And a lot of people are really concerned about coming across that way.
Right.
You know,
And so what happens is that because they're concerned about that, they don't make a call to action.
exactly, exactly.
So
And that's what
we
they've
wanna
told me.
yeah,
I don't approach anybody because I don't want to sound like that.
exactly. And so one of the things I work on with my clients in my signature course, which I'm launching in 2 weeks, I'm so excited,
Yeah,
and I
I'm
would love you
excited about
all
it
to
too, and
come.
I want everyone to know about this course because I am excited about it.
It's called Business Speaking Mastery, and it's a
Mhm.
6-week course, and we talk about a bunch of things. The first class is all about what we were discussing earlier, Dumont, how to prepare to be seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? Because I think everybody needs different things. So
That's
we
right.
discover together what is your quickest way to manage your nerves and your anxiety.
Oh, okay.
Um, so that's the first course, the first class. The second class is about finding what makes you feel confident and handling imposter syndrome once and for all, just like nip it in the bud. And then the third course is all about your voice and your message. I think every business should have a core message for the world.
I
And
agree.
every entrepreneur should have their own message to the world. And this is something that I don't share. I don't share. The message that I do share is voice your value and vibrate the world. My voice vibrates the world. Your voice
Mm.
vibrates the world. That is the message that I share, and I want everybody to know that your voice vibrates the world, whether you're aware of it or not.
Wow, that's
Okay?
what a concept.
Right?
I'm going to drop the link in the comments. It looks like no one's been able to see or hear us.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting here. But fortunately, and I'm putting this is your course, and it starts in 2 weeks.
That's right.
Oh, and I just had somebody say it's working now, but I think that's because I hit the launch thing again. So we're gonna have to do this again. So I'm inviting you back.
All right. That's
This is
terrific.
just too important not to get it. And I also wanted to ask you about something that I saw this morning on LinkedIn, and that's something called the Green Room.
Oh, this is my new
Tell me
baby.
about it.
So whenever I would sing, wherever I was, in whatever theater it was, there is a place called the Green Room that the VIPs or the important people would get to come backstage and meet the diva and get to ask questions about their what they saw and what the performance was about, to actually exchange ideas and thoughts. And it was one of my favorite times because when you're standing on a stage, especially a big stage like Carnegie Hall or the State Theater in New York City, all you see is lights. You don't see you
Sure.
don't see people, right? You feel their energy, but you can't see them.
Right.
So I'm giving my gift to this, and all of my energy and love to this energetic amalgamation of energy, right? And other than applause, they can't give anything back.
Well, that's true. I
So
hadn't
this
thought
is a moment, yeah. So this is a moment that they get to come and give back. And we get to exchange energy in real time, in real life. And I loved that idea. And I wanted to have a place for speakers and leaders to come and take advantage of my journey and my expertise and all the ways that I love supporting and loving up speakers and leaders, and to actually speak in person. So
Yeah.
I created the Green Room. It's a LinkedIn Live that is going to be broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook for 15 minutes. And then directly afterwards, there's the Green Room on Zoom. So, because what I realized, I was doing it and then I was like, wait, this is just one way. No, I want to be able to meet the people and know what they're
Yeah.
thinking and find out about who
Yeah.
they are. One thing about me is meeting new people is like opening presents for me. So I love to meet new people. And so that's why I added on another 45 minutes to up to an hour
That's
of
great.
time in the Green Room on Zoom. So
Okay.
I'll be talking about all of the things that I love to do on the live stream, and then I can't wait to meet you in the Green
Yeah,
Room on Zoom.
so they get on the live stream, they hear what your topic is, and then they meet you in the green room on Zoom. So I happen to know that you're going to be on very shortly
That's
after
right.
this. So folks, I'm going to drop the link to the green room in the chat, and it starts at 1. Is that right?
That's
Oh
right.
my gosh. So
Wednesdays at 1. Doesn't that just fall off the tongue?
it does. It
Wednesdays at
does. It
1.
totally rolls. It's great. So I am, yeah, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm seeing all these people saying, will you please send me the link? Will you, you know, and yeah, I can't see anything. I can't hear anything. Is it even on? Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry, folks. That's just one of those, we had one of those glitches. But I have dropped the link for Monique's course, which starts in 2 weeks, Business Speaking Mastery. And also the green room is in 10 minutes.
that's right.
So we are not going to go much longer because I want you all to have a chance to hear Monique and to exchange ideas with her. And just before this, before we even knew the thing wasn't working, we had already decided to come back next week and talk about your authentic voice of power.
Yes.
So
I can't wait
excited
to
about
share
this.
that
Yeah,
with all of
it's
you.
going to be great.
And I'm going to be talking about emotional cage fighting.
Oh my gosh.
A very, very interesting thing, right? Aren't you
Yeah.
dying to know what that is?
Yeah, I'm a little afraid to know what it is, you know. But yes, I am dying to hear what that is, because I think all of us, or at least all of us who didn't grow up in perfect families, which means all of us, um, um, guard our emotions because
Yes.
we don't want to be hurt, and so we bottle them up. And I think maybe they slip out in the wrong ways, or they slip out when we don't mean them to. And is it about self-protection? Is that why we do that?
It is about self-protection and the fear that you're going to say it wrong
Okay.
or be too emotional. There are lots of us that have that. Don't be so emotional,
Oh yes. Oh
right?
yes.
And also, so this is my mission, Dumont, is to empower 10,000 voices.
Wow.
I want to empower 10,000 voices of experts and leaders and speakers so that they learn how to show up, speak with their authentic voice of power, and shine and
Wow.
vibrate the world, because the world is in need of strong voices now more than ever.
I totally agree with you, Monique. And this has just been fascinating. So, folks, like I said, Monique's going to be back next week. Everyone, we're going to say goodbye now because the green room opens in 7 minutes.
That's right.
And Monique, I want you to just have a great time with it. I know you will. I saw it and just went, oh my gosh, the green room. Because I know what, at least from hearing television and talk shows, you used to hear about the green room.
Yes. Yes.
Congratulations on the new live. And I'm so excited about having you back next week. And everyone, we will be sending out the replay of this. Because I'm sure StreamYard, I'm sure. I'm sure. Otherwise, we'll just come back and do it again. So
Perfect.
not a problem. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dumont. Thank you for having me. And I send love out to your listeners. And you can see more of me in about 6 minutes.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ta-ta for now.